you do need to do like you need to sing the jingle or whatever it is. Like,
There's a jingle.
you've got a jingle.
Oh,
Jingle.
go on then.
And a dance.
Can we remix our one?
Yeah.
No.
Can we add like a bit of a backbeat to it?
Right, welcome back to Auto Trader UK's Product and Tech podcast. And you know what? It actually stopped raining, which is a miracle.
It's 'cause
Because we've come from the
Because
south.
you
We're
guys
here.
are coming from the sunny south.
Sunny. Yeah, it's good. I actually got off the train. I was thinking it's cold. Really
It was a
cold.
bit cold.
Yeah.
before.
Didn't have to bring a jacket, so.
Well, I came out in a jumper this morning, and then at lunch I'm like, oh no, it's raining. Then I forget, like I'm from here. I should know
Should
it's
be
gonna.
used to it.
I always
It's gonna
pack a
rain.
Mac and Welsh. You've got to pack a Mac wherever you go.
I've changed my bag, so like all the usual stuff out of my bag isn't there. But I know that we've tried to get you three together
Yeah.
on a number of occasions, and things have come in the way and stopped. But I am fascinated because obviously the strap line he came up with when we were chatting ages ago is roast beef to retail media.
Yeah.
So I'm going to chat about that, but first of all I'm going to introduce yourself. So we've got Brian. Hey Brian.
Hello.
We've got Seonaid. Hey
Hello.
Seonaid. And last but not least, Dickson. So you guys all work together, I take it?
Yeah, we try to work together. It's a functioning relationship, right? But yeah, we've been together for a while. So Brian just mentioned he's just done his 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
So
Pretty much
congratulations,
this week.
Brian.
Oh, my neck.
Yeah.
So I've known him for way too long, and then Sean is absolute superstar. We've been working together closely over the last few years.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because we've had like tiny interactions. Obviously, I've done quite a bit with you, Dickson.
Yeah.
And I've seen you around in London, Seonaid. And Brian, I think we met once or twice before.
Yeah.
Probably I can't
while
remember what
ago.
we're working on, but a long time.
Yeah.
So I've been looking forward to this because this is one of the areas. Like usually, I've gone quite deep into something on a project we're doing, but this is one of the areas where it's always been a little bit behind the curtain.
Yeah.
'Cause we've worked on more cultural things rather than work
Yeah.
things. So yeah. So what is it? Is it about roast beef or is that just a joke?
It's a painful joke. It's a joke that stayed with us for a number of years. So the background to this was you've probably been at conference actually, where you've seen examples of advertising that used to run on Auto Trader.
Yeah. So like around the
Yeah, and some of them were like beef adverts. Now the background to that is, when I first joined Auto Trader, we used to run something called programmatic advertising.
Yeah.
And effectively what that is, it's targeted advertising based on your behavior. So you're across the internet and you might have been looking at Tesco's,
Yeah.
planning your shopping. You might have clicked on a beef advert. So the machines know you're interested in buying beef. And then you're on Auto Trader and they are programmatically targeting you with beef adverts. So I think one of our OLT in the past, I'm not saying any names.
I think I know where you're
I'm not saying any names.
Yeah.
They might have been doing their shopping, came onto Auto Trader, was targeted with a beef advert, and they kicked off. They were just like, we should
Good job
not.
it was a beef ad.
Yeah, exactly, right? Could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
And they were just basically, we should not have advertising like this on an automotive platform. So that's the background to that story. And since then, we've been effectively working to evolve what we do, to move away from advertising that isn't relevant to more stuff that is relevant for car buyers on our platform.
Yeah. So how long is this? Obviously, we just. Oh, so you got like your United Cup there.
Wasn't going to mention that after the weekend.
United fan
Thanks.
as well. So this
Oh,
is where we
great.
can just talk about football.
love it.
Terrible.
We can cry
Terrible.
together
Yeah.
afterwards. Yeah.
So how long is that? Because I remember, I do remember the roast beef thing.
Yeah.
I remember another one where someone was showing the screen and something else came up and everyone's like, "Whoa,
What is this?
Is this a Valentine's Day thing going on or whatever?"
We've had it all.
Yeah.
So how long has this journey from roast beef to retail media been going? Is it been the last 10 years?
I think it's probably been about a decade for sure,
Wow.
which is a long time.
Yeah.
We and I and the team would have loved to have got to a place where we weren't necessarily having advertising on our platform that wasn't relevant to car buys a lot sooner. But it's taken us a while to get to where we are. And part of that is effectively moving away from standard advertising. So the sort of boxes and squares that you used to see across the website. We no longer have
Yeah.
those advertising on our
I
site.
mean, I still, when I see him now, like, I think I was on the MEN looking for some United out, and you're getting smashed by it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right?
Really
It's
poor.
disruptive for the consumer.
Yeah.
And everything we do at Auto Trader is about making that experience on our platform right.
Yeah.
That you don't want to be distracted by adverts that aren't relevant to the context that
Yeah.
it sits within, which is cars, obviously. So it was definitely the right decision.
Yeah, and you're right. If you go on most websites nowadays, especially newspaper websites, the ad load is incredible. So you are
terrible.
bombarded by adverts. There's things sliding in, there's things shouting at you at the top of the page, and the industry is very much moved to this place where, because they're so desperate for ad revenue cash, they're just bombarding users with as much advertising as possible. Whereas we've gone completely the other way. So we've stripped back our advertising. We've only got one ad slot on the page. And it's not shouty, it's not in your face. It's very, very native.
Yeah.
So it's taken us a long time to effectively get to where we are.
And was that like, was that I know you said like, one of our OT said, roast beef, not having that, not having it on my Mac.
Yeah.
Was it always the intention to go in that direction, or was there something like an event or a trigger that said, you know what, this is just, we need to pivot away from that?
I think it's us as a company and as a media team trying to define what our purpose is and what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
In the past, a lot of the advertising on Auto Trader used to take people off the site. So a brand would advertise their products on Auto Trader, the user will click, and it would take that person out of Auto Trader to their .co.uk website. We realised, because we're a marketplace and we've got stock, so if you think about a physical shop here, someone's walked through the front door, right? And they want to shop and find something that's suitable for them, which is cars on Auto Trader. And what we used to do in the media team, we used to have a side door that basically says, leave here. So the person is walking in through the front door and we're effectively escorting them out. And we decided that that's not the right user experience. So our job should be to try and keep as many of those shoppers on Auto Trader as possible. So we started to build experiences that would keep people on Auto Trader, things like brand store pages where people can engage with the brand, learn a bit more about the vehicle, and then drive them through to stock. So that was definitely a catalyst where we started to redefine our strategy a little bit. And then also the industry just moved on. In a decade, a lot of things have changed. And as the industry evolves, our sort of advertising products have also evolved. So I think it's a combination of those two things why we've actually got to where we are now.
And how does, like, I know when I said like you work together, so how does the different roles you play sit in that world? Because Seonaid, you said that's like really pure execution.
Yeah.
So what how do you, in this world, if you're describing without job titles or with job titles, so like what roles do you play in this area?
I'd say for AdOps and the AdOps map, we make the magic happen. We put the relevant ads in front of people within our search experience.
Right.
And I'd say that's the general gist of what we do. But with the adverts, we've got to make sure that we target them correctly. So we want people to engage with what we're doing on site.
Yeah.
So that's what the AdOps team mainly do. And we liaise with clients, agencies, and we deliver measurement statistics, because that's something what people really want to know. What is their ad doing on our site?
Yeah.
So that's what the AdOps team do in a nutshell.
Right.
I was kind of, for a long time, on the front line having these conversations, and it did actually feel like a bit of a battle quite often.
What,
so
internal or
externally?
Right.
Well, yeah, externally.
Yeah.
The challenge we have, Dee touched on it there, we had a lot of ad formats that pointed out of Auto Trader. A lot of the OEMs, manufacturers, their global strategies were to drive as much traffic to their platform.
Yeah.
Because they've spent millions of pounds with it, right? And they want to own that consumer to a degree, right? So we were often having conversations with agencies that would kind of counter or challenge that a little bit, because we felt that the optimal journey for a consumer through to buying a car was on Auto Trader. And we'd use data to kind of prove and rationalize that point a lot. And if you imagine when a consumer watches a TV advert for a VW, for example, they will they tend to go to Auto Trader platform, And what the manufacturer wanted to do was take that consumer back to their site. So what we did is a lot of work with Seanish's team support on, because we like to use data to kind of prove what we're trying to say. We saw that consumers were bouncing back to the Auto Trader platform, so we knew the consumers wanted to stay on the platform. So a lot of what I would do would be to go out and take that message out to clients and challenge their thinking a little bit, but try to get to a compromise where we could help with their business challenges, but also achieve the thing that we want to do, which is connect car buyers with their next car.
Yeah. What about yourself? So if we got ad ops and like sort of in the partnership space, so where does your role sit in this funky world?
In this funky world, I have the privilege of leading the team,
Right.
and leading in terms of I understand some of the challenges because I've also done that sort of frontline job for a number of years at various different companies as well. But trying to almost build our strategy in terms of what does this media team, what do our solutions, formats, how do we interact with our partners, what does that all look like going forward? And also a big job is trying to get the support internally to to do the things that we need to do to be successful, which is not always easy. So it's about painting that sort of internal picture. It's about making sure all of the different tribes within Auto Trader feel like what we do actually is supportive of their wider strategy. And it's also about getting our clients to understand that we deliver the best sort of automotive retailing experience for people on Auto Trader. So a lot of thinking goes into that, a lot of conversations, sometimes a lot of pain. But, you know, we just make the best of what we have, basically.
So we talked about the strategy about like keeping consumers and art traders. So in terms of like the long-term vision around retail media, where are we on that journey away from where we were to where we want to go? Are we like 3/4 of the way along, halfway along?
I think we are right at the beginning.
Wow.
And the way I say that is retail media is a relatively new concept for the industry.
What, for the automotive?
No, just broader. So if you think about some of the biggest retailers out there, you've got Sainsbury's, you've got Tesco's, you've got Amazon. They are only now starting to really get sophisticated retail media strategy. And what that means is it's us moving away from that sort of physical world where people used to walk into a store. Where do you normally shop for your Waitrose, aren't you?
No.
I know you're bougie right
No,
now.
not at all.
You're definitely
I live
Waitrose.
up in North Manchester. Like we're I was going to say I go to Tesco's because around the corner.
Okay, so
my wife's like, don't like it, don't like that. So
you definitely look like a Waitrose man to me.
There isn't even a Waitrose where I live.
But let's say you go into Tesco's, the physical store. As you're walking around the store, you used to have placements that used to say like, you know, offers here and try this product.
Yeah.
That's effectively trying to get you to buy certain things. And then once you've moved into the sort of digital space, it's exactly the same sort of dynamic where you've got consumers might be on tescos.com, but within that sort of experience, they are having messages put in front of them, media message that says, why don't you buy this product? Why don't you buy that product? So they've built this whole sophisticated strategy where they understand your previous behavior, your shopping habits.
Yep.
They understand when you're going to need things.
Yep.
And they can put certain messages in front of you to direct you to certain products. So they're starting to develop it, and it's like a data-led strategy. Amazon, we know what Amazon do. They have sponsored adverts that kind of push you into different products. So loads of big retailers are doing it. And the way we see it is Auto Trader, from an automotive perspective, should also do the same thing, which is we have loads of brands and retailers putting products on our website. We have consumers that are undecided and they need a bit of guidance and help in terms of what they should buy. We should be using our media products to effectively point people in the right direction. So it's right at the beginning. And I think over time, as we understand people more and their shopping habits and their behavior, the whole retail media industry will just get more and more sophisticated. And it's just going to be an exciting opportunity for us to really do some big stuff.
There are catalysts to these things, right? So retail media has been around for a while. It has, with FMCG products, kind of products that don't cost very much. But COVID was a huge catalyst for a lot of companies because we saw more consumers going online to buy stuff.
Yeah.
So for our industry, the media industry, agencies have been upscaling teams within the retail media space big time, and probably automotive has been a bit slower to this, because if you imagine buying a car online is quite a big ticket item to be transacting online, and that's very much where we all want to get to, and the industry's definitely moving to. So that's probably partly why we're at the beginning of the journey, because it is just going to naturally take longer. But yeah, companies like Amazon talk about click to commerce, which is that full end-to-end journey.
So I'm assuming like it's really important for like to have those analytics and understand is that the logged in experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seanish.
It's at the moment we're finding that our clients and agencies don't have that data.
Yeah.
Whereas we have that on our site. We can see with our first party data what people have been looking for, what people have been searching for, and we can build audiences. And those audiences are really, really valuable. And another thing that's happened since the pandemic is the sunsetting of cookies, which could, well, it's happening, but it's different ways Google are trying to negotiate around legal things. But the real change is we've got that data. We've got different platforms that we can package that data, where we can basically retarget people, not with beef ads or anything like that, with the relevant ad in front of them to get them to engage with AutoTrader, because it's partly it's getting people to engage, but also get people to re-engage with us when they've left their car buying journey at a certain point, or their research, because nobody buys a car within like one session or 2 web sessions. They'll do it over like a period of time.
Yeah.
So that's where we are at the moment.
And when you say about retargeting, is that so I'm into vans. I like When you say VDOs, I love VDOs. Nah, I like vans. Those are the two things I like. So at AutoTrader, I do look at a lot of transporters, like a little bit obsessed. You think, is it time to get rid of mine? But obviously then I go on other websites. So is it that when we say like retargeting it, is it targeting me when I'm off AutoTrader or whilst I'm on AutoTrader, or both?
So what we try and do is we can retarget you off AutoTrader. So we can build a segment, and I can say, I want to look at somebody who's looked at vans in the last 90 days, and I want to re-engage them to come back to AutoTrader. So that's how probably the beef advert happened. It was all it is. Cookies are pieces of code. It's like an ID. So when you come to AutoTrader, that ID is specific to our domain. It doesn't get shared. It doesn't. When you go on another website, they may drop a cookie on you, but they can't access that. So we will have those IDs. We will package them up, and then we can basically create an audience on a different platform, and we can retarget you back. So that's what basically Asda or Tesco's were doing, saying, we've seen you're buying things for your Sunday lunch. We want you to come back. You've left it at a specific stage, because we are not at that stage where you can't buy a car, you can't put a car in your basket. We can't retarget people at different shopping stages, if you like. But that is how retargeting works. So if you're searching for a van and we've seen you've been on the site, we will try and re-engage you back. So do you want to come back? So there's more things on AutoTrader.
Yeah, and it's also it's a big conquest in opportunities. So if you think about the fact that most new cars coming to market at the moment are electric vehicles. So brands especially want to talk to people that are interested in electric vehicles, and that's a growing audience pool. So the more people that drive electric, the bigger the audience will get over time. So what we need to do is, if we know you're interested in electric vehicles and we've got a brand that's really interested in speaking to people about electric vehicles for their new car, when you're off AutoTrader, we can effectively put a message in front of you that says, have you seen what this new brand has launched, this new shiny new EV that you can access on AutoTrader? So it's about trying to find the right conversations to have with the right people based on their interest. And that conversation doesn't just need to happen on AutoTrader, because you might spend some time on our website looking at vans, but you are also looking at all of the other websites that you go on, right? So the amount of websites we have access to is just exponentially growing. So for us to have just conversation on AutoTrader is limiting our capability. whereas for us to be able to talk to you elsewhere.
Yeah. But it is the bit, so I didn't realise it's into like the retail media strategy. So that is, I don't know, same when I want to meet with the mountain bikey sites, because that's the other thing I like, hence fans, is I have been seeing adverts that'll be like, hey, the new, whatever it is called, the electric V-dub, which probably isn't the right size for what I need, but it's like, but I've seen stuff where it's like, it is more relevant. So is it that one way saying, so we can target you elsewhere, but then we'll bring you back into Auto Trader for the relevant content?
That's the goal. The brands have their stock on our platform.
Yeah.
Right. So their retailers are putting all of the V-dubs, if that's what we're going to call them, on Auto Trader, and they want people to effectively either buy it directly from them or buy it from the retailers. Right. So when you're off looking at, I don't know, some van website that is an Auto Trader, or you're on your social media engaging with van content that isn't on Auto Trader.
Well, loads comes up on Insta.
Yeah,
it is
Insta,
literally like,
right?
it is a bit like, oh, it's
all
this
car
new
ads,
It's like, is it bikes or vans? Like, look at that van.
So that's good.
we
So
know.
from a consumer perspective, I think people would rather see relevant ads in front of them that are right for them.
Yeah.
Because it can help, actually.
Yeah.
To Dee's point around the conquesting point, you might be looking for a V-dub, but you might not have considered a Vauxhall.
Yeah.
So that Vauxhall will know that you're interested in a car. They'll retarget you and pull them back into that brand for you to engage with it.
So then that's where like some brand stores where they have like the Vivaro or whatever.
Yeah. So brand stores are definitely a passion project of mine, just because it's something that we've tried to evolve for a decade.
Yeah.
It started off as something that used to sit off platform, and it was a bit of a hack. And now we've kind of brought it onto Auto Trader Tech. You know, it's powered by our apps, it's built by our own people, it's designed by our own people. And if you look at some of the sort of brand store pages that we're creating at the moment, not only do they look gorgeous, but they're super, super interactive. They've got rich content, amazing videos. We do things like 360 spinners and configurators, and they're just designed really, really well in that sort of simple but effective Auto Trader look and feel. And then the end goal is, once you've engaged with a page for a few minutes and you're interested in taking the next step, you click on a call to action button, and most of those buttons will direct you through to stock.
Yeah.
So you've effectively just narrowed and supported a user through that journey, which is really effective. So brand stores are there, and what we do is when we target people externally, we bring them back onto these brand stores so that they can engage. And
So is there, like, from like an adult's perspective, so we're looking at what we're gonna use, is that always is that the ultimate end goal, that someone ends up in search on a particular make, model, derivative?
yeah.
We want to drive ad views and leads, essentially.
And it's the relevance of it, and as Dickson said, the brand store page, because there's so many changes in the industry, like Google Analytics has been changed, the measurement KPIs we've got in Looker, we can give attribution data on the brand store pages, and it's so rich, and it's really, really good, and it's getting that message across to advertisers and agencies what we can provide, because they're struggling externally at the moment. Because some OEMs that we've worked with, they have tracking on their websites. They don't even know what that measurement is and how it correlates to somebody's user journey or what they see of the brand, so to speak.
And you've heard about most platforms are walled gardens. And effectively what that means is they kind of want you on their platform, but they don't necessarily want you to leave. The whole experience, if you look at social media websites, the whole experience is designed for you just to keep you on the platform for as long as possible. Not always a good thing, we know, because...
It was last night I got into
a hole.
Like some dooms. I was like, my God, 17 minutes of my life have just gone.
Literally.
Couldn't put it down.
It's
I'm like,
bad, isn't it? I've set the timer on my social media, which kicks me out after 30 minutes. But I've just noticed Instagram have added this new feature that basically allows you to ignore it. So it says
override.
It basically says
button.
you've reached your limit. Would you like to ignore? And I'm just like, keep me going. So anyway, these platforms are designed to keep you on it. And one of the things we are trying to do is recognize that actually Auto Trader delivers one of the most effective shopping experiences for cars in the UK. So we kind of want people to shop for cars on Auto Trader. So everything that we're doing is trying to pull people back onto our platform, trying to get them engaged, and then trying to get them to look at stock on Auto Trader. It's not perfect yet. We've still got a way to go. This is definitely the beginning of the journey, but we are definitely trying to progress that sort of retailing capabilities.
A big thing Seonaid is working on in the team at the minute, you're building a dashboard to try and prove to customers what they do actually leads to a tangible thing, like an increase in leads, or even better, the holy grail is sale eventually, but we haven't got the data there yet. So I don't know if you want to talk about the dashboard a little bit.
So we've been working on a project with the Auto Trader data teams, and it's been, for me, it's been absolutely fantastic, because previously we'd serve an ad, we could pull a key value report and say they clicked on this search parameter on the left hand side, but we couldn't tell you anything else, and this was served via Google Ad Manager. Now we've got a UTM, we can see within a user session, we're only on user session at the moment, what they did after to basic form. So basic form is just searches on specific models, so we target it. We want to see what they've done from conquest, whether they've come in from, like, say they're searching for T-Roc and they've gone on to look for a Toyota Yaris. If we're looking at the Yaris, we want to see, did they go on and how many searches, what was the uplift, what was the engagement, did they do more ad views? It's trying to see, we conquested somebody from searching for one thing and got them engaged on another aspect of it within a user session. So that's what we're looking at the moment. It's at its infancy, and so about 12 months time we're hoping we could talk to you about more things we've added on to it.
It's funny because I remember years, I mean, this is probably when I first started, I did a tiny little bit of work with ad ops. I think it was when we were replatforming the homepage, but it feels like it's a totally different world than, like most of these podcasts, you go, oh, like 10 years ago, it's really different, isn't it? But it does sound
it's
very different.
It's been a journey for sure.
I would say we've done a full 180 in terms of our approach. From when I joined Auto Trader to where we are now, it does feel different. Like, we can honestly go into a conversation now and say, actually, we are trying to drive outcomes that benefit retailers and stock on Auto Trader. Whereas before, when I joined Auto Trader, focus was on generating as much cash as possible, right? And we didn't really care, to an extent, in terms of, was that person staying on Auto Trader, were they clicking off site? It didn't really matter. It was all about revenue generation. Whereas now we are desperately trying to do the right thing by our consumers. So it's that sort of change in behavior. But what that leads to is we need to become more sophisticated, because our competitors are Googles, the Amazons, the Metas of this world, right? They are the big players who have got a massive media advertising operation, some of the best technology in the industry, with a very, very clear view of what their users are doing on their platform at all times. Those are who we're competing with. So it means our sort of data, our conversations, our products have to be really sophisticated to be able to compete in that sort of world.
But it feels like no, because it's one of the ones where it's like a lot of these, like, oh, I think I know what I'm talking about, and then you dig and you go, God, I didn't know any of that. So it does feel like, because of the volume, like the number of consumers, the number of vehicles you got on site, the number of brands we engage, it feels like the opportunity is big. So if are we only just tapping into that? Like, how big is the opportunity?
Like, I will use you as an example, right? So you've just said you're interested in vans. But you're also a really trendy guy. You know, I know you like your trainers and your caps, and so I know you will have other. Doesn't matter.
Have you got a spare one? Should have asked you before we did this. Actually.
But I know you're going on other websites, because you're not just looking at vans 24/7. You are doing other things across websites, right? So, because we effectively have 10, 11 million unique users on our platform every single month, and we know those users are interested in other things. Some of them are parents, right? Some of them love shopping, they love travel, etc., etc. What we've got is we've got a single data point for that person, which is about car purchase intent. But there's also multiple other data points that, if you could combine them, will give you a really good picture of who that individual is, and at what point are they ready to potentially change their vehicles or to potentially buy a slightly different product. So we've got this opportunity where our focus is car buy-in and car shopping, but if you extrapolate that across the whole sort of online digital industry, and you have the right sort of data points, you can start to create really rich segment on those 11 million users that become extremely valuable to other brands. And that's where there is a massive opportunity and a data play, which then allows us to sit right at the heart of that sort of decision making process and start to really pull consumers in different directions, start to put relevant messaging in front of them when they're doing other things. That's when it becomes a really significant play.
It's because at the moment I'm getting targeted, I think it's off Honda, repeatedly on my Gmail account. Like, I'm not really that interested, but I have started because I think it's when we said the bad example, Seonaid, is I can see where it feels like it's getting there. It's not AT just general, but ones where it's done really badly.
Or when you see it's done really, really badly, I normally see it end of month.
Is that when just because of budget?
And you can see it on social media. I'm like, why am I being retargeted? You can see, what is this ad? It looks, it's nothing to do with me. That to me is wasting a client's money, and it's not. For us, that's not an approach we do at all. It's it becomes more worthwhile the relevant the ad is, because you're spending that money, that impression is being focused on the right audience, so it has more value. But when you do that, it's like seeding. It used to do just to get clicks, and you say, "Oh yes, Mr. Client, we've delivered this for you," and it's inflated and it's not accurate to you're not, because if you're getting targeted with Honda and you're not interested, to me that's a really, really bad executed marketing campaign, because we should be targeting people who are interested. And I think if your client sees it, they think, well, should I be targeted with it? Is my campaign strategy correct?
Because you're doing two things then, aren't you? You're wasting your client's money because you're targeting people that aren't interested in the thing. And the second thing is you are pissing off that person that's being bombarded with a message that isn't relevant. And then what that leads to is a scenario where that person gets so irate with just spam that they then use ad blockers, or they completely just disconnect from that.
Or they have a negative view of the brand.
Exactly.
Right? So, because like what Seonaid and the team will do, a big part of that is optimizing the campaign. So in that instance, we could create a frequency cap, so you only see the advert 3 times. And if you don't engage with that advert after 3 times, we kind of can assume that you're probably not going to engage and it's not relevant. And that's absolutely what we'll be doing.
So is that when you're doing like when you talk about the data richness and combining? So say I'm looking in my Gmail and I'm getting a sponsored ad and it's Honda 4x4 and I'm just not interested and I just don't engage with it. Is there a point, and I've seen them served again. Is that the kind of data you'll see that our ad placement isn't working, therefore we change strategy, or we flag me as an individual that they're probably not interested? Go somewhere else.
Don't get me wrong, it depends who's running the campaign and how much they care about relevance versus sort of just delivering out the campaign.
It sounds like we care.
But we do, right? If we feel that it's just not working, we will actually remove certain people from the segment, or we will optimize the campaign towards people that we think are actually going to engage with it, or we will frequency cap, as Brian said. We'll show it to you 3 times. So the first time you might have just missed it, second time you might still be considering it, the third time you haven't really engaged, okay, you're not interested, let's focus the attention on.
And does that all come into you talk about your Looker dashboard? Is that all comes into the data lake so we can see that?
So we will look at the data and we will look at, say, you're conquesting somebody or conquesting a segment, and you go, right, let's have a look at the best conquest models for engagement wise for, say, Corsa, and we will build in the ad server in that campaign, we'll put those models in, but then we'll review it a week later and we'll say, well, maybe Looker data's telling us one thing, but that ad is not engaging and it doesn't match what the Looker data tells us, so we'll look at the creative. Because the creative is really, really key on our site. If you put an advert in and say, I'm launching a new car, here it is, and you haven't got any USPs or any sort of product details, you're not going to click on it. And the CTA, like learn more, book a test drive. Book a test drive is more a lead gen sort of CTA. So if you want to go for lead gen, then you say book a test drive. Learn more is like sort of an education CTA,
Yeah.
there's little sort of things behind it.
And do we advise, so like when it comes to, so say an OEM or a large retailer particularly interested, go, yep, totally what I want to do. On the creative side, is that something that we take control of the creative and help with the content and copy, etc.?
Brian was telling me earlier that there was a creative session with a brand creative agency.
That's right.
Wasn't
Yeah,
there?
on Friday, Sophia and Becca led that, and that's what the purpose of it was: giving guidance on what the best creatives.
Yeah. And so is that part of the retailer media strategy?
Yeah. Because the thing is, what Seonaid was talking about there, all that,
When you don't know anything,
all that work that Seonaid was just talking about, what that does is it leads to better performance for the OEMs. In fact, I think we've doubled CTR, haven't we? Probably in the last 12 to 18 months.
Yeah.
Because of the optimizations that have been made, Seonaid just talked about, because of the focus on the creative that's run. And actually what that led to, from a trading perspective, which is a big part of my role, is that we could start to have conversations about increasing our rate. And that, by the way, that was the first time we've ever done, I think, a rate increase within our team. So it's funny how all these things, little minor tweaks can really lead, like they talk about, was it marginal gains? It really is that.
So how big is it, like, in terms of, we say, like, these, like, right now, we talked about departments in other sessions, but there's no real departments, but sort of there is.
Yeah.
How big is the retail media crew?
So it's basically no. It's basically the media team, the components of the media team, and that is us from a leadership perspective. But then you've got account managers who are having conversations with their media agencies and responding to briefs and various different things. You've got the team that Seonaid leads, which is the operations team, who deliver the campaigns and run reports and optimize. And then you've got an amazing brand partnerships team led by a woman called Sophia Murdoch and also Becca Keenan, who are, creating these pages, optimizing them, trying to evolve what the brand store looks like, working with our sort of tech community and developers to just make sure those pages do really well. And then beyond that, you've then got the OEM team, the manufacturer team, and they are also talking to those brands about our sort of retail media solutions, our see, shop, buy philosophy. And what that then leads to is those brands putting their stock on the platform, but then saying to us, we want to support our stock with media.
Yeah.
And that opens up conversations with Bex Kennett and the retail performance.
Yeah.
And that's been a big thing for us the last 18 months, actually. With the journey that we've been on, we definitely feel more connected to more teams within Auto Trader. Yeah. So, because I remember when I used to work on one of the big accounts from a manufacturer perspective, we were supporting Alex, Penny, and those guys to speak to the retailers about the stuff that we do drives eyeballs to the stock that the retailers are listing on our platform. But now brands are listing stock on our platform directly as well with the agency models. That's kind of really accelerated that retail media.
And we've got examples recently where because of a media campaign, it might be like a homepage takeover, a brand partnership campaign, Bex Kenneth will tell us that her team have managed to secure certain retailers putting stock on the platform because they know the brand is about to pay for this heavyweight media campaign on Auto Trader.
So they want to have the cars ready.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's starting to really link up and join. Yeah. The last thing you see is the ad on the page. Yeah. But underneath that, there has been so much work in terms of going back on proposal, talking about creative, building segmentation. All of the thinking happens in the background, and then the last thing you see is the advert. Yeah. So,
Awesome. I wrote me, because I sometimes do this before, and I write me a little summary at the end going on. But I genuinely didn't know most of this. Yeah. So it's fascinating stuff, super, because you can start to join the dots up. Yeah. So, no, cheers for that. And thanks for braving the train and coming all the way up.
Yeah, I didn't get a nosebleed this time, so I'm all right.
Dixon thinks Watford is the north. Let's put it into context.
Literally.
I joke with one of our tech owners, Sean. He's from Newcastle, and he goes, and I'm saying, I'm from the north. He's like, you're not from the north.
You're not from the proper north.
And then you go, and then you get to Scotland, and you're into the proper north.
Whenever I leave London, I start to panic. To be fair, I start to hyperventilate. I went to Leeds recently, and I was super impressed with myself. Because that's north, isn't it?
Well, it's what's it from here? It's east
South.
from here.
Okay.
Is it?
It's
It's
From here.
mid,
It's a
isn't
long
it?
way from London.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm looking at the country. I used to work up in Thurso, so there's one where I said, yeah, I'm from the north, and I went and worked, we were talking about Scotland before, and went and worked in Thurso and Doonray, up on the, near John O'Groats.
Yeah.
I got up there and they said, where are you from? Oh, I'm from the north. And they went, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was absolutely fascinating.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks
So
for
yeah,
having
no,
us.
it was super good. So cheers, Brian, Dickson, Seonaid, for coming up, and thanks to the listeners and viewers for tuning in to another episode of me being educated by my colleagues. So please like and subscribe on YouTube. Remember to hit the notification button so you never miss an episode, and follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And that's us wrapped up. So cheers for that.
Cheers.
Thank you.